Even if it seems hard now, you'll learn to have conversations like easily by the end of the chapter.
Merhaba, nasılsınız?
İyiyim, teşekkürler. Ya siz?
Ben de iyiyim. Çok teşekkürler.
İyi günler.
Size de.
When speaking in a formal context, use
Nasılsınız?
to say, "How are you?" Try this one,
Nasıl?
which means, how. Let's see if you can say, how.
Nasıl?
In an informal setting, you say
Nasılsın?
to mean, how are you? How would you informally say, how are you?
Nasılsın?
Let's see if you can say, how.
Nasıl?
How would you informally say, how are you?
Nasılsın?
In order to form the informal, how are you, you add
Sın.
to the question word,
Nasıl?
how. But if you want the formal form, add.
Sınız.
Let's see if you know the formal way to say, how are you?
Nasılsınız?
Politeness and respectfulness are essential features of Turkish social life. You're expected to talk formally to adults who are of higher age or rank, or whom you just met. To be formal, you say,
Nasılsınız?
how are you? To be informal,
Nasılsın?
so the longer, the nicer. The shorter, the more casual. This is how you say, hello.
Merhaba. Merhaba.
Hello is Arabic and roughly means to receive graciously. And with a little stretch of the imagination, it means no harm will come to you from me. In a desert before approaching people,
Merhaba.
could come in handy. In this part of the world, peace was so important that it inevitably became part of their salutation. Let's see if you can say, hello.
Merhaba.
Now, let's learn how to say, hi.
Selam.
Listen closely one more time.
Selam.
You might remember the Arabic greeting phrase the U.S. President Obama told the Muslim world in his speech in June 2009 in Egypt. Assalamu alaikum. It means, peace be upon you.
Selam.
Hi, a greeting word in Turkish, is the peace part of that phrase. You can say,
Merhaba.
hello, or
Selam.
hi, at any. If you're in an informal situation, how would you say, hi, how are you?
Selam. Nasılsın?
While saying hello and
Nasılsınız?
how are you, you're expected to shake hands, look at the person in the eye, smile, and nod slightly. You can expect to be kissed on the cheek, especially if a friend of yours is introducing you to someone. Turkish people can be quite touchy, even to strangers, which may seem like they are entering your personal space, but don't be alarmed. It's how we show affection. Let's see if you can say, hello.
Merhaba.
There's an informal way to say, hi, how are you? What is it?
Selam. Nasılsın?
Listen and repeat the following,
Günaydın.
which means, good morning. Okay, now try to say, good morning.
Günaydın.
Based on what you've already learned, what do you think is the correct way to say, good morning, how are you, in a formal setting?
Günaydın, nasılsınız?
Let's see if you can say, hello.
Merhaba.
There's an informal way to say, hi, how are you? What is it?
Selam, nasılsın?
There's a formal way to say, good morning, how are you? What is it?
Günaydın, nasılsınız?
Listen carefully.
Efendim,
Means, sir, ma'am. Let's hear that one more time.
efendim. Efendim,
Is used to address both men and women. You should already start getting used to being addressed as
efendim.
sir, ma'am, all the time, because that is how service people, such as waiters, taxi drivers, or salesmen, generally address their patrons in Turkey. Now, can you figure out the best way to say, hello, sir, ma'am?
Merhaba efendim.
Let's see if you can say, hello.
Merhaba.
There's an informal way to say, hi, how are you? What is it?
Selam, nasılsın?
There's a formal way to say, good morning, how are you? What is it?
Günaydın, nasılsınız?
Now try and say, hello, sir, ma'am.
Merhaba efendim.
Listen and repeat the following,
Hanımefendi,
which means, ma'am. Try to say, ma'am.
hanımefendi.
Based on what you've already learned, what do you think is the correct way to say, hello, how are you, ma'am? In a formal setting.
Merhaba, nasılsınız hanımefendi?
There's an informal way to say, hi, how are you? What is it?
Selam, nasılsın?
There's a formal way to say, good morning, how are you? What is it?
Günaydın, nasılsınız?
Now try and say, hello, sir, ma'am.
Merhaba efendim.
What's the formal way to say, hello, how are you, ma'am?
Merhaba, nasılsınız hanımefendi?
This is how you say, sir.
Beyefendi,
What's the way to say, sir?
beyefendi.
Let's try something new. How would you formally say, good morning, how are you, sir?
Günaydın, nasılsınız beyefendi?
There's no limitation to or rules for where
Efendim,
is used. However, people will sometimes call women
hanımefendi,
ma'am and men
beyefendi.
sir. There's a formal way to say, good morning, how are you? What is it?
Günaydın, nasılsınız?
Now try and say, hello, sir, ma'am.
Merhaba efendim.
What's the formal way to say, hello, how are you, ma'am?
Merhaba, nasılsınız hanımefendi?
There's a formal way to say, good morning, how are you, sir? What is it?
Günaydın, nasılsınız beyefendi?
Okay, now try to say, good morning.
Günaydın,
Try to say, ma'am.
hanımefendi.
What's the way to say, sir?
Beyefendi.